Hello, hello. I'm Cassandra Mack, founder of CassandраMackMinistries.com, where we bring you church by phone. So I just finished giving the keynote speech for the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Club, the Central Nassau Club. And it was really an amazing day with some phenomenal women. It was their inaugural Women's Leadership Summit. And they had a panel of amazing, outstanding women speakers who were all leaders in their own right. And I was blessed to be able to give the keynote for this summit. And so I want to say a special thank you to the Central Nassau Club for inviting me to give the keynote speech. I want to say a special shout out to Jackie Morrison-Brailsford for personally reaching out to me to be part of this amazing event. And thank you for the awesome award that you presented to me on Zoom. I cannot wait to physically receive it, and it will be right up here once I get it. So I am excited. So I just want to share with those of you watching who weren't able to make the summit, just a couple of nuggets that I shared from today's keynote speech that I think will be really helpful for anybody who is a leader or an aspiring leader. And although the keynote speech focused on women who are leaders, the precepts and principles can be applied to anybody who is aspiring to be a leader or you are already in a leadership position. And we talked about mountaintops. That was the theme of my keynote speech, keeping in line with their summit. So they had a summit instead of calling it a conference. And a summit is the highest point of a mountain. It is the highest point of a hill or a mountain. So essentially a summit is a mountaintop. And in many ways, being a leader or an aspiring leader is like climbing a mountain. And sometimes it can feel like an uphill battle, but it's important to know that your ideas are worth it, your vision is worth it, and your purpose is worth the climb. And if you've ever went mountain climbing or rock climbing, or you watch someone climb a mountain or a rock on TV, then you know from experience and observation that the mountaintop provides you with a really unique perspective, right? Reason being is, when you are at the summit level of the mountain, the highest point, you have an elevated and panoramic view of what's around you, of what's possible for you. Think about that for a moment. Take that in. When you're on the mountaintop, you have an elevated and panoramic point of view of what's around you. And this is why a mountaintop mindset is necessary if you are going to excel as a leader, whether you're leading your family, leading your community, a leader in your school, whether you're a leader of yourself. We're all leaders because you got to lead yourself. You got to lead your life by making decisions. And so when you can begin to see your life, right, from an elevated and panoramic point of view, you begin to realize things, that all things work together for your good. You start to realize that even the challenges can be weaved into the fabric of your story, and even your mistakes are things that you can use to learn from, right? Your mistakes are things that you can use as a gauge for growth and as wisdom for what not to do the second time around. And so when you have a mountaintop mindset, you are operating at a higher frequency of thought. And it is at this frequency of thinking that you can envision yourself in rooms that you haven't even entered yet. And you can envision yourself sitting at tables that haven't even been prepared in the physical yet. You can envision that for yourself. You can see yourself walking across the stage and getting your degree if you're in college. You can see yourself purchasing your home and putting your feet up on your coffee table if you have a goal of buying a home. You can see your books on Amazon or in a coffee shop that has a bookstore. You can visually see yourself even though the book hasn't been written yet, because you have a mountaintop mindset. And so your mindset is not focused on, oh boy, there's nothing but obstacles to my goal. No, because you have an elevated and a panoramic, or all-encompassing view of what's possible for you. Where can it be said in your life that you need to adopt a more mountaintop type of mentality so that you can activate your vision and move forward on your goals and your dreams with greater tenacity, confidence, courage, and boldness? Where can it be said that you have to shift from valley thinking to mountaintop thinking? Essentially, mountaintop thinking is Christ consciousness. It is unlocking the kingdom within. And so in the keynote, I talked about 3 valleys that we must shift away from in order to have more mountain type encounters psychologically. Because when you have the mountaintop encounter spiritually and psychologically, you develop the inner capacities to birth out the thing that you want to do. See, the thing about mountains are they're surrounded by valleys, and everybody, no matter who we are, how accomplished we are, we're going to go through some valleys in life, right? It rains on the just and the unjust. And so I'm going to share one of the valleys that I shared in the keynote and why it's important to make sure that you shift from this valley. And so we have to shift from the valley of self-doubt to the mountaintop of confidence, even when we are entering into new territories. So a lot of times when we feel stuck in life, right, or like the challenges we're facing are really so grand that it looks like we're not going to be able to overcome them, usually it means that we need to redefine our self-image to fit the new vision for our life and the new season that we are about to step in. The thing about the valley of self-doubt is it lets us know that it's time to grow to another level. So if you feel self-doubtful, then it means that there's a skill you need to learn. There's self-talk that you need to tweak and be more intentional about. And there's a mindset that you need to cultivate so that you can step into your new level. That's all the valley of self-doubt is. It is a teacher. It will show us where we need to redefine some things, where we need to tweak our plan, where we need to develop some skills, and where we need to build ourselves up. And so there's a story in the Bible, in the book of Numbers, in which Moses, right, sends out 12 men to spy out this land. And each of the men are a leader. They're all leaders in their own right. And he wants them to come back basically with a strategic assessment, right? Praise report, which is a strategic assessment. And these men surveyed the land. They saw that it was filled with opportunity, flowing with milk and honey, meaning filled with opportunity. But because they did not upgrade their mindset to align with the new territory that they were being ushered into, the new opportunities that were available to them, the opportunity was there, the land was there for the taking. But because they saw themselves as grasshoppers in their own sight, they became like grasshoppers. When you read the story in the book of Numbers, it says that we saw ourselves like grasshoppers in our own sight. So we became like grasshoppers. And so when you see yourself as a grasshopper, it really is about seeing yourself as inadequate. It is the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. Who I am is not enough. I don't belong here. I don't have what it takes, or some variation of that theme. But the thing is that's so interesting about this story is that each of the men were leaders in their own right. Moses chose men who obviously must have elicited some sort of leadership quality for him to not only choose them, but the Bible explicitly states that each was a leader. So each of these individuals were leaders, yet and still, when this new opportunity was presented to them, because they believed that the obstacles were bigger than them, they saw themselves as grasshoppers. See, it's easy to be a big fish in a small pond. But when God begins to tell us, okay, your work is done in this realm, your work is done in this pond, and I need you to elevate to the next pond, you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable. When you find that you are the smartest person in the room, that means it's time to enter into a new room. when you are the smartest person in the room, it is time to enter into a new room. And so the thing about these leaders, right? They were delivered from Egypt. So they were the first generation to bear witness to the land of milk and honey, meaning they were the first generation to witness opportunities in the way that they were witnessing opportunities, yet because within their own self-image and self-esteem and self-worth, they felt like they didn't measure up. They felt like they were grasshoppers. A grasshopper is an insect. So they felt as small as an insect, even though they were leaders. They had everything they needed to be successful in life, but their mindset was stuck in the valley rather than a mountaintop encounter. See, when we remember that we're made in the image and likeness of God, then it becomes easier to embrace mountaintop encounters. And when I think about Moses going to the mountaintop, it says that when he came down, he looked different. See, when you have a mountaintop encounter, even if it starts in your own mind, that you change the way you think, you begin thinking at a higher frequency of thought, your conversation should change. The way you walk should change. The way you talk should change. The way you show up should be so dramatically different than the last version of yourself that people should take note and look at you and say, something about you has changed. I can't place my finger on it, but something about you is different. That's when you know you've had a mountaintop encounter, because you're operating at a higher frequency of thought. And the thing about when Moses went to the mountaintop, he couldn't take his sister with him. And so sometimes there are some people you want to take to your next, that you want to force feed them elevated thinking, and they're not ready. They're not where you are. And it is not about being arrogant. It is about honoring each person's personal journey while being true to your journey. And so if you want to experience more mountaintops, when you find yourself in the valley, don't stay there too long. Learn what you need to learn, and know that you are already divinely designed to see life and experience life from the mountaintop, even if it just starts in your mind with your vision for your goals and your dreams. So again, thank you to the Central Nassau Club for having me as your keynote speaker at today's inaugural Women's Leadership Conference. I learned so much. I was blessed to be there, and I'm just excited. And I cannot wait to see what the future holds, and hope that this is a first of cultivating a relationship. So with that being said, have an amazing day, everybody. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon. You can also join us for Church by Phone each and every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to CassandраMackMinistries.com, and from the link that says ministry, you can get all the information that you need to join our Church by Phone service. I'll also make sure that the telephone number and access code is in the video description box. We welcome all. The time is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have got to figure out what that time zone is depending on where you live, because I know people watch from all around the world. So whatever 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is in your neck of the woods, however you would figure that out, you can show up. So with that being said, have an amazing day. Don't forget to pick up my book, Simple Prayers to Pray When You Don't Know What to Say. I'm looking for my book. I know it's over here. Simple Prayers to Pray When You Don't Know What to Say. And so if you have ever been nervous to pray or afraid to pray, or you felt like you didn't know what to say, know that you're not alone. A lot of people are nervous about praying. And the truth is, there's no reason to be nervous, because prayer is simply a conversation with God. God delights in our heartfelt prayers. But sometimes when you're in the realm of overwhelm, when your mind is racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it is hard to verbalize what's in your heart. And of course, God knows what's in our heart. But prayer is for us to have a verbal release. And so this book, Simple Prayers to Pray When You Don't Know What to Say, offers brief, immediate prayers. Each prayer starts with a scripture, and then it goes into the petition part. And so there are prayers for guidance, for direction, for clarity, for health and healing. There are prayers for emotional strength. And again, each one starts with a Bible scripture. So you're praying scripture, and then you go into the petitioning part of the prayer, and each prayer can be said in 3 minutes or less. So surely you have 3 minutes to power up with prayer. Think about why we charge our cell phones. We charge our cell phones so that they operate at maximum capacity. And so when we charge our spirits through prayer, what we are doing is ensuring that we're starting the day at full spiritual and psychological capacity by building ourselves up on the inside. So the book, Simple Prayers to Pray When You Don't Know What to Say, is available at Amazon along with all of my other books. Just go to Amazon, type in my name, Cassandra Mack, and you will see my books. Again, have an amazing day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.